They're coming to get you, Barbara.
So the first film was a huge hit with both audiences and critics. So Disney would have been dirt stupid not to greenlight a sequel. And they did, not just one sequel, they were giving audiences a trilogy, filming both the second and third film at the same time. And both films sucked. Oh, they made their money back, don't get me wrong. They weren't box office failures or anything. But there was just no way they were going to capture the same lightning in a bottle the first film was. But before I rip this film a new one, let's talk about some of the stuff it actually did well. First off, the new villain, Davy Jones, is fantastic. What a great design. A man with an octopus for a head and tentacles for a beard. The performance is also great. Bill Nye... no, not that Bill Nye, the other Bill Nye. He does a great job working through his extremely complex CGI makeup, and once again, he's chewing the scenery in some of the best of ways. Davy Jones also seems like the perfect next step after a villain like Barbossa. Barbossa was motivated by his own selfish desire to lift a curse and feel whole again. Davy Jones is motivated by his own nihilistic sense of duty and a sociopathic joy to see others suffer with him rather than suffer alone, remarking that
life is cruel. Why should the afterlife be any different?
He offers souls a chance to remain alive, to prolong death but at the cost of their own humanity. He's a great threat for our heroes to face. The special effects are also a huge plus. That action scene at the end is a real treat, and the attention to detail on Davy Jones and his crew is phenomenal. Each character is unique and has its own design. This film came out in 2006, and honestly, it's kind of scary how well most of it holds up. It's 2017, and I still see films that don't look as good. If the special effects in the first film were good, the special effects in this film are fantastic. There are also plenty of great scenes, like the game of liar's dice, or that awesome final sword fight. Unfortunately, the conjoining narrative tying them all together is weak, problematic, and truthfully, kinda boring. Bringing back Will and Elizabeth was a horrible idea. They already got their happily ever after. Bringing them back to continue a story that already ended feels superfluous. We didn't need to further explore the relationship between Will and his father. He already made peace with his father by accepting the fact that his dad was a pirate at the end of the first film. He accepted his father's death and who he was. So bringing his dad back from the dead was just a way to give Will something to rescue. And Elizabeth, oh, poor Elizabeth. Talk about a character who literally has nothing to do. She no longer has a purpose. In fact, as much as I love that final battle, that sums up Elizabeth's role in the story perfectly. Here are three main characters doing something that involves furthering the plot, fighting each other because they all have something to win or lose, and then there's Elizabeth, just fucking around on the side till she's given something to do. This film is just as long as the first, but the story is not nearly as tightly woven. The stuff with the cannibals, while fun, is ultimately a distraction from the main plot. They don't make a return, they don't serve any other purpose other than to have an action scene and pad the film out to a 150-minute long runtime. Also, once again, we get a lot of setup that goes nowhere. The film builds up this lame love triangle between Will, Elizabeth, and Jack, but does nothing with it. There are no repercussions on Will and Elizabeth's relationship after he sees her kissing Jack. The film just kind of shrugs it off and goes on its merry way. Okay, there's this little rule of screenwriting called Chekhov's gun. Basically what it states is that you shouldn't imply or show something if it's not leading up to something else. If you show the audience a gun, it has to be fired. Don't show the audience Will being miserable with Elizabeth after she kisses Jack and have it go nowhere. The main problem with the film is that it all feels like it's building up to another movie. It's not a movie on its own. The thing that makes sequels like Empire Strikes Back or Terminator 2 good is that they're stories that begin and end on a logical closure point, while still carrying over from previous films. You can watch both of those films without seeing the first film and still know what's going on. just as you can watch both of those films and not need to watch the next movie in order to get a complete story. Also, I really don't know how to feel about this cliffhanger. On one hand, it kinda cheapens the impact of Barbossa's death by bringing him back. A hollow man, unable to feel anything, tired of living vicariously through others, jealous of something other people take for granted, finally gets the curse removed, and the first and last thing he feels is the chill of his own death. It's such a beautiful and yet tragic ending to his arc. But on the other hand, Barbossa is a great character portrayed by a great actor, so it's kinda nice that we're able to now see a little bit more of him. I don't know, I'm leaning more towards the fact that they should have kept him dead, but screw it, I'll give this film a pass.
The black spot!
Black spot! Black spot! My eyesight's as good as ever, just so you know.
Also, I like Tia Dalma. She's a cool character, and I like her in this film much more than in the third one, but we'll get to that later. Let's just say I like that she's mysterious. The film never shows that she was the woman Davy Jones fell in love with, it's all done through implication, like how both her and Davy Jones have the same locket. It works really well in this film's case. Too bad they f***ed that up in the third film, but like I said, we'll get to that later. No, it's not your time yet. Go on. It's okay. Go on. Anyway, they really should have done a trilogy that was episodic. Just 3 movies of Jack Sparrow trying to find a different treasure or outsmart a different bad guy with an axe to grind. We don't need overly complicated storytelling or overly dramatic moments. Less is always more, and in this film's case, less would have been so much more. They should have just focused on Jack Sparrow trying to square his debt with Davy Jones by hunting down his heart to use as leverage, and end the film with Jack finally outsmarting him, and Davy Jones remarking that while his debt has been squared off, eventually Jack will die, and when he does, he'll be there to collect. Maybe even have a post-credit scene with Davy Jones visiting Tia Dalma. This film isn't bad, it's just needlessly complicated and boring. We didn't need to bring back Will and Elizabeth. There's a lot of things that just kind of go nowhere, and subplots that feel like some kind of distraction from the main plot of Jack Sparrow trying to outsmart the devil, or in this case, Davy Jones. The performances are still great, and adding Bill Nye to the cast is always a plus. The special effects are fantastic, and the select few action scenes we do get are entertaining. It's not a bad sequel. There's plenty of good in it. It's just kind of a missed opportunity, which is why I give Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest a 2 out of 5.